So I will speak today about the current state of the fisheries and what are the main regulatory and funding challenges we can find in EU fisheries when we speak about decarbonization and energy transition. So just a few words. So my name is Jules Danto. I'm French, as you can probably hear, but I'm working for EAPO. So this is the European Association of Fish Producers Organizations. We are gathering 30 POs across 12 EU member states. So basically, we are operating in the Atlantic, North Sea, and Baltic Sea. We are not operating in the Mediterranean Sea or the Black Sea. And we do represent like a really large diversity of fishing vessels, both artisanal or large-scale fishing vessels actually. And so there is a few key figures about this organization. We have been participating, and we are participating currently in the Energy Transition Partnership. So we have been appointed by the Commission as a support group coordinator for the large-scale fisheries. So I think we were like kind of appropriate to engage with this working group. But as I said, we do represent every kind of fishing vessels. So that was when we talk about energy transition in our organization, we take also into account small-scale fisheries, of course, and that is something that is quite important for us as well. So as Matti said, the Energy Transition Partnership was launched by the Commission in 2023. So it was before I arrived at this position, actually. And it's really a long consultation process with 10 working groups. And just like to explain a bit about the larger scale fisheries working group. So we were like 15, 20 members. We had some working groups meeting where we tried also to coordinate, of course, with the other working groups, but also with the shipbuilding industry, with the ports, to have really this integrated approach to develop some specific recommendations for the larger scale fisheries, but also more generally for the energy transition. So yeah, basically the idea was really to encourage the stakeholder engagement and to have this dialogue. And the main goal of this ETP initiative is to develop, for the Commission, to develop a roadmap to base itself on this ETP recommendations, to develop a roadmap for 2026. And actually there will be a high-level discussion conference on the 17th of February in Brussels to present the outcomes of this ETP and to maybe not to present the roadmap. I think they are like trying to get a bit more time to develop it, but at least it will be one milestone to present what has been done with the energy transition. I wanted to say also that we had some meetings, so as I said, with many sectors, but also we tried to reach out and to use what has been done by some other advisory bodies. And for instance, we had some meetings and we have been discussing a lot with the advisory councils because they all have been drafting some recommendations on this topic. So the idea was also not to try to create something from scratch, but also to really to bring concrete solutions, recommendations, basing ourselves on the existing and all the workshops, all the work that has been done to develop some new solutions. So just a few words on the larger scale fleet. So we were this group was made according to the STECF definition of the larger scale fleet. So it was including a large diversity of vessels. So all the one over 12 meters, but also the one below 12 meters that are using towed gears. So it's mainly dredgers and demersal troners or seiners. But we can see that it's quite a high number of vessels that are belonging to this sub-fleet group actually. So it's something that we have to take into account. Just few key figures again. I think that the larger scale fleet doesn't represent the highest number of vessels, like 23%. But then when we look at the other numbers, of course, it's becoming more important when we talk about employment, gross value added, or landings. Of course, 72% of the landings in weight, so it's quite important. And also, Matti talked about the fishing capacity. I will address this question also later in my presentation. But when we talk about I'm not really good with this. When we talk about engine power and gross tonnage, the larger scale fleet is a big player actually. And this is a quite old table already from 2018. But I think the idea is there. The large scale fleet is accounting for the highest fuel consumption, and by far, if we compare to the small scale fleet or the distant water fleet. So this is also where we have something to do, because we have a really high consumption in terms of million liters of fuel. So there is a real need to engage in the energy transition and to make a change for this fleet. So all this to say that we had to work with a really high diversity of vessels profiles. So we came out with some more like maybe regulatory funding recommendations. I mean, from a technical point of view, Matti explained it very well, and I think like there is a lot of existing solutions. But then, how can we implement them? How can we address all this diversity of vessels profiles according to the different subsegments? I think that it's really different when we talk about small-scale fisheries and larger-scale fleet. It's a subsegment of vessels below 12 meters. So I think it's something that we have to take into account. There is not one solution, but there is a large like diversity of solutions as well. And also something that is quite important is not only the vessels, but we have to think in an integrated solution. And all those vessels, even the smaller one, they can be operating from really small harbors sometimes. So if we want to implement some solutions with like new fuels or alternative energies, we have to really be careful about the availability. So the availability depends on the market, of the other sectors and so on. But also for the sector itself, it's depending about like the way we can find it and where to find it, where to have it. In some really small harbor, I think it's really difficult to have some specific infrastructure sometimes. So it's something also to take into account. I will go back a bit to the ETP. So with our working group, we have been working on like around 6 main thematic areas. So it was basically the what is the ambition, what are the goals of this recommendation and this roadmap, the fundings, the data and monitoring related with research and innovation, considering also the skills and all the social aspects, and the regulatory framework. In red, I put some keywords that were coming out of like the first reflections, first discussions we had with this working group. And there is also the timeline. The idea was to try to find some first like short-term solutions, medium-term solutions, and long-term ones actually. So yeah. Here are like some ideas that were like really important when we were addressing those like main thematic areas when we were brainstorming. So I think we have to be when we talk about the ambition, we have to be realistic. We have to take into account the fisheries as a whole, but to integrate it also in all the food food production systems and so on, not just at the fisheries themselves. Of course, we pointed out the lack of funding opportunities. I will speak about this also later. For the data and the research, I think that the fisheries are not leading in terms of development. So we are depending on what is done and also the availability and so on. Are we ready now to have some? Do we have some trained workforce to meet the requirements from some really specific or new solutions? I think it's something that we have to address also. And the regulatory framework, I will also develop it a bit more after. So the current state of fisheries, this is something that was really important for us. I think we really wanted to have this as a prerequisite for our recommendations. Basically, we have to think about the viability of the sector, to the capacity of the sector, if we want to engage in and achieve the energy transition. So I just wanted to show this also, this slide. When we talk about greenhouse gases emissions, we see that the EU fleet is representing a really small part of the global emissions. Actually, it's even when we compare it with the other fisheries emissions worldwide, it's just 3% of it. So I think there is something that is that is quite small, but it's not because we are a small sector and that we have a small emissions. We have small emissions actually, that we don't have to do anything. I think, of course, we need to play our role also and to move toward the energy transition. And there is this number also that you all know, I guess, that the total greenhouse gases emissions of the EU fishing fleet fell by 52% between 1990 and 2021. Of course, it's something that is really encouraging, and we always base ourselves on this number to say, look, we are doing some stuff, but we don't have to forget that these numbers is also due to decommissioning schemes, and that if we scrap a lot of vessels, of course, we will reduce our emissions at the level of the sector. So so as I said, for us it was really really important to have this reality check of the sector, to address this question. Actually, the first one, is there a future for fisheries? Because if we have new engines, new solutions, but we are not able to fish anymore because of the pressure we do have on the resources and the fishing grounds, it's useless actually. So we really want this. I mean, that was a strong focus to make sure that we understand the sector itself, and that we are aware of all the challenges outside of the energy transition, but that are related, that we are facing. So yeah, I can skip this one. It's a bit of the same. You understood what I wanted to say. So I will just mention a few ideas, and we came out with the working group. So we really wanted to also try to bring some solutions, recommendations as soon as short-term solutions for 2030 that could be implemented from now or from tomorrow. There is a lot of projects a bit scattered everywhere in Europe, outside of Europe. We can really try to gather the knowledge, the information, to share the best practices. There is a lot of quick wins to improve the energy efficiency of vessels. Of course, it's not a long-term solution, but it can really help to reduce the fuel consumption. And on the long term, we need to have some incentives in terms of regulations, funding, investments to move to alternative energies. So I like to show diagrams, and this one is like the final diagram of the working group. So we had like 35 recommendations at the end. So as Matti said, we are like currently discussing all those recommendations with all the working groups to have like a joint paper at the end. But this is what we did with the LSF working group, and I pretty like this diagram to show what was really important for us. So we have like 7 different chapters, like main chapters, but also I really want to show the fact that this diagram, there is all those links also in between, because everything is intertwined actually between the different main chapters, but also with the distant water fleet, with the small scale fleet. We share a lot in common, of course, and we need to develop solutions with the shipbuilding industry, with the ports. And one really important point I feel, it's that we are also evolving in a moving EU regulatory framework. So we have to connect also with the 2040 vision for fisheries. There is the CFP revision currently. There is the MFAF, of course, but we are already talking about the new MFF from 2028. And there is like some other strategic documents, like the EU Industrial Maritime Strategy, the EU Port Strategy. There was the Sustainable Transport Investment Plan that was released yesterday. I just gave a quick look at it. Fisheries are just barely mentioned, but I think that we have been also pushing the Commission to try to bring the ETP and to go to see the other general directorate of the Commission to integrate fisheries into the whole energy transition projects or like regulations that are developed in the Commission. So in terms of regulatory challenges, I would just like to start with the technical barriers. So as I said, it's not the fishing industry that is in position, I would say, to develop disruptive technologies. When we speak about like alternative energy sources, but of course they can take it and adapt it. But we are depending on some way bigger sectors like the shipping industry. The infrastructure availability and the supply chain is really important also. We are depending on this, so that's why also we wanted to have this connection with the ports. It was already mentioned, but we are evolving in a sector with really an aging fleet. We have old vessels, and that's also kind of a blocking point at some point, because if we want to do some retrofitting, is it useful to do it on a 40 years old vessel? I don't think so. So we have to take this into account. And I think that also what was I mentioning before, there is a lack of knowledge and all the information is scattered. So we need to found and support research institutes, universities, dedicated demonstrators, and to share the good practices. I think it's a really first step that is already going on with the Energy Transition Partnership, actually, for instance, but it's something that we should promote, and to have like a EU platform to share those good practices could be really interesting. I mean, EU or even like a broader, we can connect with Norway, Faroes, or like some other countries that are also going through the pace of the energy transition. And we developed these recommendations together with our working groups to have some specific energy audits to provide fishers with tailored vessel-specific energy transition strategies. So when we talk about the regulatory barriers, I think that when we talk about fisheries, there is a lot of different regulations. Everything is a bit fragmented. There is a lot of policy on the environment. We talk also about ports and shipbuilding that have their own regulations. So I think it's we require clear regulatory and policy alignment with some objectives of reducing the administrative complexity, ensure that technology adoption is feasible, and allow fisheries to fully participate in the energy transition. So here I just put some I would say some of the most important barriers actually. So there is the fishing capacity. I have some other slides about it. But there is also the aging of the fleet, and I think that investing in retrofits for vessels will just deliver a medium-term solution, and it's not a good solution for every vessels. But I think that this fleet renewal is really interesting, and it represents also a good opportunity to enhance the crew safety, the working conditions, and support the attractiveness of the sector. And there is also this part about the vessel design. There is a lot of constraints around the vessel designs, and I think we can do many things with the shape of a boat, and like fishing vessels, they are really technical and they have specific needs. But I think we need to support the development and the adoption of adaptable and modular vessel designs that are not hindered by regulatory matters depending on their size or capacity. So we were pushing for opening the regulation framework, of course, with keeping all those safeguards against overfishing. And I think I have to hurry up a bit, so I will directly switch to the fishing capacity. So for the fishing capacity, in the ETP, we all agree that the current capacity measures, they are outdated, and we need a change for this. So we are still discussing some proposals. This is like an example of proposals that we had with the large-scale fleet working group. It could be that we split the overall and current capacity into several categories, with the fishing capacity, the energy capacity, depending on the type of fuel and engine, and the social capacity. And I think it would allow to integrate alternative propulsion technologies on board, and it's something that is we had a lot of discussions about this. This is one of the main points, I think, that should be part of this energy transition roadmap. And I think that also the CFP, the current CFP evaluation, it's providing a really appropriate legal channel to consider this change, actually. So yeah, so to sum up, we have to integrate this into a strategic vision. There is a 2040 vision that is coming for fisheries. It needs to be part of it, but more generally, we need to have a future for fisheries, and we need to cooperate with other sectors and organizations. So I skip to funding. So yeah, most of the, I mean, when we consider the viability, economic viability of the fishing fleet, it's not that obvious that we are able to engage in the energy transition. For instance, I think that 2/3, 66% of the larger scale fleet was unprofitable at the prices of fuel prices of 2022. So we need significant investments to achieve the energy transition, but realistically, it's really difficult to ask to the fishermen to engage into this, because we don't always have like smaller operators that don't have this capacity actually to fund this. And one important point is that there is like the energy transition is coming on top of other like urgent priorities, and there is all the adaptation to the control regulation or the landing obligation, and it's coming with high costs for the sector. So this has to be taken into account as well. So I will skip this because I'm running out of time, but these are like some recommendations we have been drafting yeah, I mean, some main ideas to try to develop, I mean, to skip the funding barriers and to develop solutions. But there is something that, okay, there are two things actually. I think we need also to team up with, for instance, the European Investment Bank or some different program to get some funds allocated, especially for the energy transition. And there are like maybe some mechanism. I think the EIB just released also a report, Energy Sector Orientation, Powering Competitiveness, Climate and Strategic Autonomy. I have to say I haven't been through. But I think there are some mechanisms that could be interesting. For instance, there is the energy performance contracting. I'm definitely not an expert on this, but I think it could help to fund the energy transition by also pooling the companies, the actors, the stakeholders, because I mean it's mainly made for bigger projects, way bigger than for fisheries. But I think that trying to foster cooperative financing and to work together in this sense would be a really good idea. So that's some other points. And of course there is the MFAF. I think that with the current MFAF we have like inappropriate funding rules. And I was in Helsinki. There was this energy transition event the past 2 days actually, and I took these slides from there because I thought it was really appropriate. We do have some really inappropriate funding rules with the MFAF, and that is something that we have been discussing at this event. And so if we want to replace an engine, there is like some eligibility criteria that are quite difficult to respect, and they are definitely hindering the change actually. And there was one example that was given, and that I would like to share with you. It's that if you want to install a CO2 capture device on a fishing vessel, so for instance a CO2 scrubber is installed on the vessel's exhaust system, and this unit is placed on the deck. It requires a covered structure for protection, but it's not eligible under MFAF because it's increasing the gross tonnage, and then it's not meeting the eligibility criteria of the MFAF, because MFAF is allowing GT increase only for some specific conditions, so safety, improving working conditions, or the energy efficiency, but not just for emission reductions. So alone. So I think it's a really really interesting event, and I'm already running late, so I think I will have to skip the rest of my presentation. But maybe just to say that there will be the MFF. I think we have to focus on this also, because you all know that the MFF will be maybe without any renewed MFAF for the next financial framework. Is it an opportunity? Is it a big loss for fisheries? I think it's important also to be close to the national authorities to already, as a fishing industry, to already try to pledge for fundings for the sector. And just like to finish, I'm really finish. So I think it's important to think about business, because it can't be done just with public funds. We can't achieve the energy transition just with this. But so EU fisheries, they must remain competitive and economically viable. But in the same time, I think the ET is a good opportunity, and it must ensure that the fishing sector will be both sustainable and competitive in the future. Another slide about cooperation. I've been talking about it in my past slides, so I think it's a key point also here. And yeah, that's a way to sum it up again. So thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you. Luckily, we have some time for the questions. So my first question from workshop, considering the global GHG emissions and how small is EU fleet's part in that, how bad is the situation of fish population and the cost of the transition? Do you see any motivation in the sector to do an energy transition, or is this simply an illusion politicians have created on paper?
I mean, I would say that our members at YAPO, they are really engaged into this. I think it's, as I said at one point, and maybe several times in this presentation, this is also a good opportunity for the sector to change safety measures, working conditions, and I think we really have to play a role. Of course, we are a small sector with small emissions, but we can't forget that the stock population is the stock status are pretty bad actually, and this is also mainly due to climate change, pollution, and so on. So of course we have to be realistic and to play our role on this, I would say.
Yes, do we have some question from the audience? Straight, everything is clear. I have a question. What are your recommendations for Estonian fishing industry? How to survive in this transition?
That's a good question. Actually, I'm not an expert of Estonian fisheries, of course.
We are so small,
but really
small.
Yeah, but I think that there are opportunities also for smaller operators, and I think we can find some solutions for every kind of different vessels. I would say that there is a quite good Baltic or Nordic cooperation somehow, and I think you can also try to pull together maybe with Finland also. It's not that far, and I think there is a lot of interconnections also in terms of business companies for fisheries. And I think that we have to speak about a regional approach when we talk about the energy transition. It's not just about Estonia itself, Sweden, France, or whatever. I think we have to have like this more general approach, and we need to pull up with some other countries. And of course, it's starting with all those pilot projects, demonstrators, and so on that are giving ideas. And Matti was mentioning the methanol project of the Tallinn airport, Pärnu airport. Okay, and so I think that's basically also a way that we have also to be closer to other sectors. I think it might be a bit unexpected to work with the airports. But in a way, everything is intertwined, and so yeah.
Kas vahepeal tekkis mõni küsimus Julesile? Praegu on võimalus, kui ei ole, saate küsida seda kohvipausil. Aitäh, Jules Danto! Aitäh!